Good morning. We will begin our service with the ringing of the temple bell. At this time, please silence your cell phones and listen quietly as the sounding of the concho is an invitation to settle our hearts and minds as we prepare to receive the Dharma. Thank you. Aloha and thank you for joining us for today's Dharma Family Service. I am Kendra Nishihara and I will serve as your MC. Assisting at the temple with technical support is the Zoom crew of Alan Matsumoto, Ann Darren, and Lynn Katayama. Corinne Chong is our organist and Auntie Betty will lead the singing. Please rise and let us start the service with the Vandana and Tisarana. Please chant both the Pali and English parts together with Reverend Blayne. Those of you on Zoom, be sure you have muted your mics. Please remain standing for an aspiration which will be shared by Reverend Blayne.
Please join me in Gassho to reflect on the words of Renyo Shonin. If one walks looking far ahead and pays no attention to the ground beneath his feet, he will stumble. If one gazes critically upon others and forgets to look into himself, he will bring tragedy upon himself. Entrusting the dynamic working of all-inclusive wisdom and all-embracing compassion, we call the name of Amida, the Buddha of infinite light and life, in gratitude, joy, and awareness. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda Butsu. Namanda Butsu. Namanda Butsu. Namanda.
Please be seated. It is now time for the offering of incense. We invite all Sangha members in attendance to please come up and offer incense if you wish, starting with the front rows and moving towards the back. Let us observe a moment of silent meditation.
Namandab, 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 Namandab.
Reverend Blayne will now lead us in chanting the sutra, 12 homages, or English Junurai. Words can be found on the laminated handouts and on the back of the pews and on the screen.
The Junidai, or 12 homages, was composed by Nagarjuna, the first of the 7 masters of Jodo Shinshu. Nagarjuna celebrates the beauty, the grandeur, and preciousness of the Pure Land, which manifests the virtues of Amida Buddha and expresses the desire to be born in the realm of enlightenment. The phrase Koga Chodai Mida Son, or thus I bow to Amida, is repeated 10 times and has the same meaning as Namo Amida Butsu. This expression of dedication reminds us of our commitment to the Buddha and the land of peace, where everyone attains the highest fulfillment of Buddhahood. Gazen menon bawina to Amida the revered in Buddha's wondrous pure land. Bodhisattvas gather round, golden form like the mountain king, steadfast like the elephant's face, Buddha's eyes like the blue lotus. Thus I bow to Amida, Buddha's form round like the moon, bright like 1,000 suns and moons, Buddha's voice like the nightingale. Thus I bow to Amida, Buddha's figure on Ganon's crown, adorned with wondrous features. Buddha subdues evilness. Thus I bow to Amida, beyond compare
Please rise for Gotha homage to Buddha. Words can be found on page 68 in the praises.
Namandab, 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 namandab.
Please rise for the Gotha homage to Buddha. Words can be found on page 68 in the praises of Buddha and on the screen, page 68 again.
When the sun at morn is rising, shedding round its glorious glow, we to Buddha duty render with our bodies bending low. When the golden orb rides higher, and at noonday floods the sky, we in praises of our Master raise our voices clear and high. When at evening flaming glory sinks the sun into the west, we give thanks and homage tender ere we to go to our rest.
You may be seated. Reverend Blayne will now share a Dharma message.
Namandab, 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 namandab. Hi, good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us on this beautiful Sunday morning. Hopefully the weather will hold out and we won't have too much rain this afternoon, maybe. So this morning, I want to ask a question. So how many of us have at one time or another believed a story that we heard from our auntie's friend's cousin's boyfriend, and we ended up getting in trouble or into an awkward situation because the information that was shared wasn't true, right? Or we went out and bought something that we really didn't need, right? And so I want to share with you a story or tale from the Jataka tales, right? The Buddhist animal wisdom stories about the panicked rabbit and how we should not simply believe hearsay or everything that we hear offhand. So long ago, in the countryside outside the city of Mumbai, on the west coast of India, there lived a rabbit. He had a comfortable den in the roots of a palm tree that was surrounded by large coconut trees. One day, after feeding, he stretched out next to his den and was daydreaming in his typically foolish way. He thought to himself, what in the world would I do if the earth were destroyed? Just as he had that thought, a large coconut dropped from a great height and came down hard on a palm leaf right behind him. It shook the ground with a loud thump, and the rabbit immediately thought, oh no, my thought has come true. The earth is collapsing. And without even looking behind him, he started running in a complete panic. As he blindly ran on, another rabbit ran up beside him and said, what's happening? Are you being chased by a jackal? No, said the terrified rabbit, the earth is breaking apart. Run for your life. They were quickly joined by dozens of other rabbits, and the news spread until at least 50 rabbits were charging along. The panic then spread to the deer, and then to the boars, and then to the buffalo. They were joined by an elephant and a rhinoceros, and soon hundreds of animals were now blindly charging across the plain, heading for the ocean. In his den, high on a hill, a great lion heard the stampede approaching and came out to see what was happening. From his high vantage point, he saw an incredible scene, a huge herd of every sort of creature stampeding in panic toward the sea. He could also see that nothing was pursuing them. Something, he thought, was terribly wrong. He quickly positioned himself in front of the stampede and emitted 3 blood-curdling roars, which stopped the panicking animals in their tracks. The lion approached the elephant and asked what was going on, and the elephant breathlessly said, "The earth is coming to an end." The lion said, "How do you know this?" "The buffalo told me," gasped the elephant. The lion went among the buffalo, and they all said, "Yes, the earth is collapsing." "The deer told us." The lion went among the deer, and they said, "The earth is most certainly breaking up." "The rabbits told us." Talking to the rabbits, the lion finally discovered the rabbit who had begun the great stampede. "How do you know the earth is collapsing?" asked the lion. The rabbit replied, "I was sitting in my den, and I heard the earth breaking up right behind me, and I ran for my life." The story sounded very implausible to the lion, so he told the other animals to wait where they were, and he would find out if the earth was indeed truly coming to an end. He put the rabbit on his back. He bounced back to the place where the rabbit had been. Then they arrived. The rabbit was so frightened he refused to go near the spot. He timidly pointed out, saying, "Yonder is the place of the most dreadful sound." The lion inspected the site and immediately discerned what had happened. The large coconut was still sitting on the broken palm leaf, undoubtedly the source of the sound of the end of the world. He returned to the animals with the rabbit riding on his back and explained what had happened. The earth was most certainly not coming to an end, and it was safe for them to return home. Many felt foolish, blindly following the herd and not using their own good sense to find out what was really happening. Had the lion not been there to stop them, they may have run into the sea and drowned in their frenzy. So that's the tale of the panicked rabbit, right? How many of us have, at one time or another, may have done something like this, right? And you know, in challenging and uncertain times, it's so common for us to seek quick and easy answers to our problems. Many people, including certain political leaders, have turned to believing in and promoting conspiracy theories and lies, like the false claim of Haitian immigrants in Springfield, Ohio, eating pet cats and dogs. These lies stir up the dark side of our nature, which assumes the worst as we look to find blame in others. This imbalanced perspective nurtures the 3 poisons of greed, anger, and ignorance, and we find ourselves spiraling down a rabbit hole of fear, anxiety, and hatred. However, the Buddha offers wisdom for living in such turbulent times and how we should discern what is true and real. And in the story from the Kalama Sutta, Shakyamuni Buddha visits the village of the Kalama people, who shared with him how numerous holy men have been visiting their village, claiming that their teachings are the best and others are false. They tell the Buddha of their confusion and ask him for his help in deciding who to listen to and what they should believe. The Buddha tells the villagers that it is only natural to feel such confusion and doubt. And he offered the following advice. He said, "Neither believe nor reject anything simply because you have heard it. Do not believe in traditions simply because they have been handed down for generations. Do not believe what is written in religious books. Do not believe something just because it is superficially seems true. Do not believe something for reasons of logic or philosophy. Do not believe anything merely by authority of your teachers and elders. Even if I tell you something, do not believe it." The Buddha tells them to trust their own experience and to know for themselves whether a teaching leads to harm or to happiness for self and others. Right? This simple test encourages us to thoroughly examine and to carefully consider any teaching or advice with a compassionate heart and mind of a bodhisattva. The Buddha empowers us to tap into our own intelligence and wisdom guided by the Dharma. This is why Shinran Shonin believed it was so rare to encounter a good teacher and even more difficult to discern a good teaching. And he shares the following in the Hymn of the Pure Land. "It is difficult to meet true teachers and difficult for them to instruct. It is difficult to hear the teaching well and more difficult still to accept it." This is why Shinran was so grateful to receive the Nembutsu from his master Honen and accepted it only after thoroughly testing its veracity in his own life. How did it work? Did it really speak to his heart and mind, right? And was it life-giving and not life-limiting? And it is this deep and profound faith that arose in Shinran's life through the working of the Dharma. And it was only through the power of the Nembutsu that Shinran was able to meet with his true self that comes from the other shore of enlightenment. In his book, Awaken to Your True Self, A Shin Buddhist Way of Life, Dr. Hideo Yonezawa says, "Moment to moment, we are living a life that is not easy to have. This is what the other shore is teaching us. The weight, the importance of each and every moment. Namu Amida Butsu teaches us the world of the true self. This self that comes from the other shore. It is a phrase that comes from the other shore." And he goes on to say, "People who only live on this shore of samsara, cannot understand the phrase Namu Amida Butsu. I think the person who thinks of the importance of the other shore will, for the first time, begin to understand Namu Amida Butsu. To think that this shore is real is to think backwards. Namu Amida Butsu teaches us how we should really be and how backwards we truly are." The Buddha's teaching helps us to engage life, engage in a chaotic world with clarity and wisdom as we are inundated with conspiracy theories, fake news, and misinformation. Just like the Buddha advised the Kalama people, we should think critically about the media and information we consume. Rigorously test its veracity its truthfulness based on whether it leads to harm or happiness for self and others. What a simple test. Does it lead to harm or happiness for self and others? The Cornell University Library offers an excellent online resource for assessing credible sources. They offer the following practical advice for analyzing the information we consume. First, learn to recognize false news stories. Be curious and actively investigate what you read and hear. 2, use news sources that are accountable for their content and that follow journalistic ethics and standards. 3, use care before sharing news content with others on social media. Pause and reflect on news and information that arouses strong emotions, positive or negative. How many people have just forwarded a link on social media or gone down the rabbit hole of kind of responding to craziness that's being reported? Right? And so, 4, learn to recognize your own biases and compensate for them. Right? These guidelines ask us to do what the Buddha taught for assessing information with a critical eye, deeply reflecting on our thoughts, our emotions, and our biases. Discerning truth matters, especially when making decisions that impact our lives and the lives of others. Truth matters in elections. Truth matters in our democracy. We shouldn't make decisions based on hearsay and lies. So we observe Ohigan during the spring and fall equinox when day and night are in perfect balance. In many ancient cultures, this is a time of celebration that reminds us of our deep connection to the rhythms and cycles of the earth. And Ohigan translates as the other shore and is a metaphor for crossing over from this shore of ignorance, anger, and greed to the other shore of awakening. This is an occasion for us to reflect deeply on the nature of our true self, which is hidden beneath our ego. It is this ego self which is seduced by the promise of simplistic answers offered by conspiracy theories and lies that poison our heart and mind. The Buddha's teaching is the antidote, which neutralizes ignorance and helps discern fact from fiction, truth from lies, and what is wholesome and what is unwholesome in life. This is why, during Ohigan, we reflect on cultivating spiritual balance through living the Buddha's teachings. And so as we go forward in this next few months, let's always be mindful of that which we are consuming, that which we are receiving, and how do we analyze information, right, with the heart and mind of a bodhisattva. Wisdom and compassion guiding us to critically think of that which we take in. And so please join me in Gassho to recite the Nembutsu that reveals to us that which is true, real, and sincere. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namman Dabutsu. Namman Dabutsu. Namman Dabutsu. And hopefully next time we hear from our aunties, cousins, boyfriends, we'll kind of take that with a grain of salt, yeah? So, thank you.
Thank you for your message, Reverend Blayne. Dr. John Tutsui will now lead us in the unison reading of our pledge. Words can be found on the handouts and on the screen. Please join him in reading the words out loud.
I'm a little nervous because I'm a slow reader. It comes from what they call born that way. Anyways, so I'm going to go a little slow. Here we go. Our pledge. Reaching out to others, I will share a smile and gentle words, just like the Buddha who always calls out with aloha. Breaking away from my greed and anger and ignorance, I will try to live in peace and harmony, just like the Buddha who shares tranquility and kindness with all. Moving forward from self-centeredness, I will share a life of joy and sorrow with others, just like the Buddha whose caring heart always embraces us. Realizing that I live because of others, I will strive to live life to the fullest with an attitude of gratitude, just like the Buddha who promises to embrace us all. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu.
Thank you, Dr. Tsui. We will now have the offertory presentation. Mahalo for your generosity, which helps to sustain our temple. Please rise. Oh. Please rise as we conclude this service with the ranking of the Gata Nembutsu.
Namandab, 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 namandab.
You may be seated. This concludes today's service. Here are some announcements. Upcoming scheduled and services and events and reminders. Next Sunday, October 6th, regular Dharma Family Service will be held at 10 o'clock a.m. Guest speaker will be Miss Margaret Masunaga. Minister Assistant Linda Nagai will officiate the service, as Reverend Blayne will be on Kauai as a guest speaker. Sunday, October 13th, regular Dharma Family service will be held at 10 o'clock a.m. Minister Assistant Linda Nagai will officiate and share a Dharma message, as Reverend Blayne will be a guest speaker at Hilo Betsun. Sunday, October 20th, we will observe an annual Pet Appreciation Day service at 10 o'clock a.m. outdoors in front of the social hall. It is one of our favorite services because all well-behaved pets are invited to attend with their owners. They must be leashed or in carriers. You may also bring a photo or a memento of a deceased pet to be remembered. Minister's Assistant Lindsay Nagai will officiate and share a Dharma message since Reverend Blayne will be on vacation. Sunday, October 27th, exciting news. Our Sangha friends at Kamuela Hongwanji Mission have invited us to attend their Grandparents' Day service, followed by Nagashi Somen or flowing noodles activity. That should be new and yummy experience for many of us. Their service begins at 9 o'clock a.m., and Linda Nagai will be the guest speaker. No services will be held at Kono Hongwanji that day. During refreshments time today, a sign-up sheet will be circulated to determine what transportation arrangements need to be made. We will try to obtain a use of a van, or hopefully some Sangha members can carpool with those of you who will be driving your own cars. So let's all plan to go on this fun excursion to Kamuela, Hongwanji, and enjoy listening to the Dharma and meeting our neighboring Nembutsu travelers. Any other announcements, anyone?
So thank you for being here this morning. Great job, Kendra. This is her first time serving as MC by herself, so awesome job. So I want to welcome a few people. First, Deborah Greenwood, thank you for joining us. She's visiting us from the Arizona Buddhist Temple. So welcome. And then also, I think you might have noticed an additional minister up here. So this our old friend, Reverend Eric Matsumoto. Also, his wife Tamayo is here, and Carol, their cousin, is visiting. Is actually here in the temple with us this time. She normally joins us via Zoom. But so Reverend Eric wanted to throw up this image from this past Friday's homecoming game at Konowaina. Reverend Eric was the 2024 Wall of Fame honoree as a class of 1977, right, Konowaina alumni. And so big congratulations to Reverend Eric for this honor. So. And then just also heads up in November, the first Sunday in November will be our Eitaikyo Sangha Memorial Service, and Reverend Eric will be here as our guest speaker at that time. So Wendy, you need to come next for that. Yeah. But thank you everybody for coming, and please join us for refreshments and fellowship, and to kind of talk story also with Reverend Eric and Tamayo here as well. So thank you everybody.
Any other announcements? Those of you on Zoom, you may leave at any time. Those of you here in person, refreshments will be served in the conference room. Mahalo to Makiko Yamaguchi, Janet Linder, and anyone else who brought goodies to share. Your attendance today is most sincerely appreciated. Please stay healthy and safe by getting vaccinated with the new COVID booster shot, flu shot, and RSV shot. Hope to see you at future services. Bye.
Can we give another big hand to Kendra? And a few plays she was doing under my direction, so I was nervous and I told her to go a little early before Sensei's Dharma message, so it was my fault. So hope you will do it again. Okay, thank you. Good job.